Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about the late modern English period, 100, and continues to the present day. Even though English had already developed most of its grammar and structure by this time, the vocabulary expanded enormously, and the language began to evolve into what we speak today. We will explore how historical events like the Industrial Revolution and the British Empire influenced the language, how it spreads globally, and how English became standardized.
Evolution of late modern English begins in 1755 when Samuel Johnson publishes a dictionary of the English language, setting standards for spelling and definitions that influence English standardization. Then in 1800s, the Industrial Revolutions drives the creation of new technicals and scientific terms, expanding English vocabulary with words like engine, electricity, and telephone. Then we have 1828, Noah Webster releases an American dictionary of the English language, distinguishing American English from British English with spelling changes like color instead color. In 1850, the British Empire's expansion introduces foreign words into English, such as bungalow from Hindi and ketchup from Chinese. In 1828, the first complete edition of the Oxford English Dictionary is published, solidifying English as global language with an extensive word record. In 1950, the rise of radio, television, and cinema spread American English worldwide, reinforcing its role as a lingua franca. In the year 2000, the digital age and the internet accelerate English evolution with tech-related terms like email, blog, and emoji. In the present, social media and globalization continue shaping English, with new slang and expression emerging such as "eriz" and "yet". Regarding vocabulary expansion, in the Industrial Revolution, each scientific breakthrough required new words. The invention of the steam engine, photography, and the telegraph introduced technical terms that quickly integrated into the language. An example is the word telephone, originated from Greek "tele" for distant and "phone" for sound. Regarding standardization of English through dictionaries and linguistic rules, the massification of education and book writing created the need for the clear rules. Noah Webster wanted American English to have its own identity, so he modified spelling, for example, color without a U, and Samuel Johnson established spelling rules.
Now, let's talk about the British Empire, which was another key influence. By the late 1800s, Britain controlled nearly a quarter of the Earth's surface. That meant that English speakers were exposed to many different languages and cultures, and English adopted words from many of them. From India, for example, we got words like pajamas, shampoo, and bungalow. From Africa, we borrowed zebra and voodoo. And from the Caribbean, words like barbecue and hurricane entered English. English language and culture represented civilization, seen as a good thing to spread to the undeveloped countries of the world. Why was that? Because they could make profit of them. For the government was easy if they speak the same language for better order. Also, there were pidgin languages that were used to communicate with people who doesn't speak the same language. For example, African slave and English speaking sailors and traders. A pidgin language was an easier language that developed way of communication between the speakers of different native languages. For example, there were pidgin and English words that were beg, that is please in English, you too much, thank you, good job, I savvy, I understand, I know, I no get, I don't have, I don't understand. Once established, these became creoles that were forms of simplified English with their own native speakers, such as Gula. Gula were Haitian Creole that was a mix of French and two African languages. And about the rise of global English, with the growth of British Empire and the later influence of the United States, English became a global language. English started colonizing North America in 1607. Native American words were put into English, like raccoon, moose, tomato, squash. Words for foods and animals were created. Part of the New World had already been settled by the Spanish, French, and Dutch, and immigration to North America was in no way limited to English speakers. Newcomers chose to speak English because it was best to integration. Thomas Jefferson, President of the US, wrote in 1813, "The new circumstances under which we are placed call for new words, new phrases, and for the transfer of old words to new objects. An American dialect will therefore be formed." Around 4,000 words are used differently in USA and Britain. In fact, American usage is becoming more and more common in Britain. Other colonies by the Britain also created new vocabulary. Australia, for example, created koala, kangaroo, boomerang; New Zealand, kiwi, Maori; South Africa, apartheid; trek; India, curry, jungle, and dog. English became the language of power, business, administration, and education. The elite.
In conclusion, English continues to evolve. Today, English is constantly changing due to technology and social media. In 2023, a plethora of new words were added to the dictionary. For example, the word "riz," slang for charisma; delulu, slang for delusional; and copypasta, that comes from the computer term copy and paste.
To sum up, the late modern English period is marked by massive vocabulary growth, global spread, and standardization. It was shaped by technology, empire, and the rise of global communication. It's the English we use today, and is still changing. The Oxford English Dictionary now includes more than 600,000 words, and English adds new ones every day, like selfie, influencer, or hashtag. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this journey through the late modern English.